tienes esa cosa especial, bella mariposa especial, ella con su rosa especial, todos quieren ese especial, tú tienes esa cosa especial, bella mariposa especial.
Huzzah! I'm Matt, and I'm the captain now. Welcome to Pidcast, episode 36, the podcast by fans, for fans, and for people who just really need to vent about the Colorado Rapids. We get it. Pidcast is part of the Bangarang soccer community, telling soccer stories a mile on the sky and straight on till morning. Be sure to check out our sister show, Sum It Up, covering all things Denver Summit FC and the NWSL. Vittori is south of the border with our friends at Footy Travelers for their amazing Dia de los Muertes trip to Mexico City. And Monk told me he donned a costume at the stroke of midnight and is thusly indisposed for the duration of Halloween. While he wouldn't say what his costume was, he did hint that it required vaccinations. You're in luck, though, because you're getting treated to episode deuce of the Rapidos Boys. Joining me today is the guy who wanted to call Pidcast 2, I Still Know What You Pid Last Summer, Keith Richards.
You know, one day the story's going to come out. It's going to involve some prairie dogs. I'm assuming it's also going to require some vaccinations. So we'll get it out one day.
Way to draw that one in. What other sequels could we call our Rapids 2 spinoff? Two Pid, two Cast, two
Pid, two Cast.
Too Wet, Too Rapid.
I think two Cast. Get that Tupac vibe.
Ooh, all right. I like it. Well, today we're going to dissect the end of the season press conference with Padraig Smith and Kevin Demoff. We'll have a fantastic conversation with the guy using the Rapids to walk onto the Denver Nuggets, Alex Harris, and preview the MLS Next Pro Western Conference Final this Sunday at the Dick between R2 and Looney Tunes. But first, Keith, since you're me today, I'm Monk today, and Sarah is kidnapping Marcelo Flores south of the border, you get to run us through Pidder Chatter.
All right, Pidder Chatter. You know, for a lot to not be going on with the Rapids since they didn't make the playoffs, there's a lot going on with the Rapids. Also because they didn't make the playoffs. So found out earlier this week that Chris Armas and the team mutually, they always use that word mutually, decided to go their separate ways. I guess we'll touch on that more, but I don't think it was a move a lot of us were expecting, but it happened, and there's a lot that comes from that. We'll talk about a little bit more with the presser as well, but we learned from that presser that Max Sue is going to be moving on. They didn't have to put that out there, but Port did. It's going to go back to Europe, possibly back to the Middle East, he said, and on the Europe train, looks like Ali Laraz is going to be trying that as well. They weren't saying that they don't think he's not going to be here. He's going to test the waters. Take that as you will. I don't think there's any reason to test the waters unless you're trying to get out, but that's just me. And then the Rapids salary dump happened. Shocker, Rapids were towards the bottom of the league in spending, 24th. Our highest paid player is nowhere near the league's highest paid player. Messi makes $20 million. Our highest paid player is Paxton Harrison, which is no surprise that was made. Everyone knew that when he signed him. His guaranteed comp is $2.2 million per season. Next highest player after that is Hoffa, who is guaranteed $1.4 million per season. I think everyone wondered what the salary for Rob Holding would be, and a lot of us thought Holding was going to replace Maxu, and that's literally what they did with salary. Maxu made $1.2 million, Holding makes $1.2 million. It's pretty much a like-for-like swap. They maybe had an idea that Andreas is going to want to leave after this season. That's why they pull the trigger on the Holding. But no other really big surprises in the roster breakdown. Kind of middle of the league on every other, not middle of the league, but very low salaries on all other players, a very expensive backline, which we all knew. But nothing shocking, especially when it comes to spending on that roster breakdown for salaries.
Yeah, I think you called it on that holding for Maxu swap. I think we all kind of touched earlier in the season on how close that Maxu to the Middle East transfer seemed like it was to going through. So that might just be something that the Rapids missed out on making money on the sale and will now let Maxu walk and holding swap like for like. I do think it's interesting just from a fractional standpoint that our 10 makes a tenth of the quintessential League 10 in Lionel Messi. So while we can't be expected to compare to having some people's goat on our team, I do think it's a crazy roster or salary gap between domestic players with a huge potential and international players who've shown potential.
Yeah, I mean there were some other good ones in there too, like Atlanta is third in overall salary, and they were definitely not third in the league this season. And then Miami's DP salary alone is more than half the league's like total salary. So there's interesting tidbits. And then you go there's a supporter shield. Philly's in the bottom five as far as their salary, and they want a supporter shield. So there's always interesting things you can pick up by looking at a team salary.
Yeah, and I we'll talk about this maybe a little bit more when we do the presser recap. I know the company line is uh spend doesn't equal wins, or it doesn't directly correlate, which you get these outlying examples in Philly and in Atlanta. But I don't want to detract looking at this that spend definitely does correlate to, I don't know, staying a perennial playoff contender. Like throw a couple more dollars in the bank and you get another Paxton Aronson. That's probably worth at least 1 point and puts us in the playoffs. So I
Yeah,
think
I have something on that. We'll get to that when we talk about more on the presser.
All right. Well, before we get to the presser, I do want to touch on the Chris Armas and Colorado Rapids mutual parting ways. I've been on record before. I greatly enjoyed Chris Armas, the person. I was very fortunate. I went to training a lot this season. I got to have a lot of one-on-one talks with Chris, in which, quite honestly, he taught me a lot about how to cover the humans coaching, playing, and working in soccer. And for that, I'm immensely appreciative of him. I think he's a great human being. And whatever you think of the results and whatever you think of the now parting ways, I don't want that to detract from the person that Chris showed himself to me to be. I'll even point out that a few minutes before this show started taping, Chris sent me a nice text message saying, "Thanks for all the support. Don't be a stranger. Keep in touch." Um, so I think you've seen that echoed across the club from the players, from the staff. I know Connor Cape had a nice message about how Chris made everyone in every support role around the office, every level of the organization, feel like an individual that was recognized. We even put out on our socials a clip of Porig talking about that skill set, Reggie talking about that skill set. So I do want to just really in earnest thank Chris Armas for the time that he put in, the effort that he put in, the culture that he put into the Colorado Rapids, and in particular the time and culture and advice that he afforded me. I really appreciate Chris, and like we've talked about, I'll follow your career wherever you go. You don't be a stranger as
Yeah,
well.
I echo that as well. I mean, I don't know many head coaches in MLS, just the one that we get to cover. But I think I said something similar as far as the human or the human part of being a coach. Tactics aside, that's a whole different conversation. But Chris Armas, the human, I think, was the perfect coach for the Rapids at the time that they hired him, and he was a coach that I don't think many people realized they needed. Um, that's nothing to say bad about Robin Fraser, but Robin Fraser is Robin Fraser. He's kind of a grumpy guy. um, but so after that miserable 2023 season, Chris Armas really came in and put a fire under the ass of the supporters, which is something that they needed. It didn't work out in the end as far as tactics and results go, but I don't think even accounting for the horrible last impression that he had with that press conference. He did apologize for that. It seems that him and Matt are on good terms. So I think if they can move past it, we can move past it. I think we should move past it because the 2 years that he had here with the team, I think is what they really needed at the time.
Yeah, and I think you'll see in the conversation later, we also tried to practice some forgiveness. I forgave Alex Harris for bullying me in the press conference, which you'll hear later, and I think it's very
bro.
heartfelt. Don't ask dumb questions. I'm putting that in. Come on now. Come on now.
Don't ask dumb questions.
I'm inserting that clip in. It's probably one of my favorite things that happened all season. Yeah. So I mean, they held a press conference basically about the mutually parting ways and reviewing the end of the season and charting a path forward. You want to jump into that?
Yeah, so I think my first takeaway from that was naturally about Chris Armas and the contract negotiations. So it was made clear that they held negotiations in the middle of the season. They had the playoff push coming. They decided to table that because they weren't getting anywhere. Said they're going to revisit it at the end of the season. I think that's about the time Porig had his press conference and said that they want Chris Armas back. They expect Chris Armas to be back, which was said multiple times. I think since then, until like he was let go, is like they wanted him back. Chris wanted to be back, but then you start to hear, well, we're not on the same page. We're not as close as we would like to be. And then when you hear Porig in the press conference talk about the negotiations, in the end, we all thought it was a matter of we want him back here, but it's a matter of how much money he's going to be paid, what the length of the contract is going to be. I don't know what you thought. It didn't sound like that to me when he's talking about the press conference. It sounds like to me it boiled down to they were not happy how they tailed off at the end of the last 2 seasons. He multiple times mentioned that they dropped 21 points at the end of this season. So I think wherever they were at the middle of the season all fell apart when the team fell apart. And it seems like they had already made up their mind that I don't even know if they did make the playoffs, if he's going to be the coach next season. Like they just weren't happy tactically, is what I took away from that.
Yeah, I think you sensed that, right? I definitely, there was a vibe in the room when they were discussing that. I know we talked a good bit about, was it just kind of a gap in expectation between years and salary? I threw in that I thought there was probably a gap in negotiating roster spend. I think that there was definitely a component of, we'll call it the last 10 game or the 9-game season, where if we are tabling a contract, you've taken Georgi Mihailovic from the coach, from the team that wasn't in the best position, but was still in a playoff position. And so you kind of, you force them to kind of jump into the playoffs on one foot, which is never a great feeling. And this isn't to take away from the fact that we got Paxton or Paxton's ability. I think it's a terrible ask to expect Paxton to come in and immediately know the system and recreate the productivity of Georgi Mihailovic. I do think we're going to see amazing things from Paxton next year. But it just seemed like they had 9 games to get more embittered and frustrated with each other, to the point that there was no other conclusion than, all right, we need to go our separate ways, each live our best lives, dye our hair different color, get the gym membership, hit the glow up for 2026 World Cup year.
Yeah, I mean, I really think it would have took the team catching fire and making it something crazy to like the Western Conference Finals for him to get a contract extension based on the wording and the kind of feeling you were getting from Porig when they were talking about it in a press conference.
Yeah. I mean, because say we make the playoffs and we get boat raced just like we did last year, I don't think that affects the job retention for Armis or necessarily his desire for the job retention. I do think he is the type of guy that he would have stuck it out for the cause, given fair variables, we'll call them. But I think, and this is just my personal opinion, I really think from a organizational standpoint, if you're keeping Porig, you keep Chris. I know Chris probably doesn't want to sign a 1-year extension. You make it 1+2, have some caveats, some performance escalators in there. But I think it's completely nonsensical to have an entire front office staff with 1 year left on their contract and part way with a coach who only got 2 years into his project. Like, I think we should have seen the final year of the trilogy and then made a decision.
Yeah, I mean, and Porg even mentioned like how Chris was a little bit below the mean, Robin was a little bit above the mean on how long they had coaches. That's telling right there. There's no stability, and I think maybe, I mean, Chris would tell you what he would thinks if we ever had the chance to ask him. I think maybe deep down in his heart, the lack of stability probably made it a little bit easier for him as well.
Yeah. Yeah, I think you talked about that point, the lack of stability. The fact that we're near 10 years in from the missive of perennial playoff contender. What's the exact verbiage again? Perennial playoff appearer?
I don't think it matters because they're not doing it. So like they can say what it's
that's gonna give it off big. I'm not gonna learn your name because you ain't gonna be here.
I mean, I think it's something along the lines of playoff, being in the playoffs every year. I mean, is what it is. I can't remember the exact phrasing, but I feel like they've said it in different ways. Even in just, I think this was my 4th year covering the team. I feel like I've heard it a different way every single year, and the end result is not the same. They've made the playoffs twice in my 4 years. Nope, not even twice. They made the playoffs once in my 4 years covering the team. I started in 2022.
Yeah.
They made it in 2024, and that was it.
They made it 3 times in the 8 years that Porig has been kind of the chief executive. 37.5% hit rate. And I think we've seen more perennial rebuilding than perennial playoff contention. But I do think that is a good jumping off point because we've had this line, this kind of the Rapids Bars perennial playoff contender. But I think the appearance of Kevin Demoff, he upped the ante. His line that we should be a cup contender. That should be the binary goal every single season. So I read a lot into the fact that Kevin Demoff was here for this press conference, basically the first face of the nebulous overarching real estate conglomeration that we're a sports vending machine for. Like, this was the first appearance. And I think that does say something. And I listened to a lot of Kevin Demoff's previous interviews, and I quite enjoy hearing him talk about sports. He mainly talks about the Rams, but there was a lot of PR speak here. But the one thing I took away is the bottom line is we should be aiming each season to win the MLS Cup, like, bar nothing.
Yeah, and that's actually kind of a perfect transition into one of my next takeaways, to where Kevin talked a lot about the KSC system, so to speak, in relation to the Rapids. And I mean, at this point, we can only take him for his word. The season's over. They can't do a whole lot right now. I mean, they're looking for a coach that can do that, but roster decisions aren't made for almost another month. But it was the way he talked about how good of a sports enterprise KSC is, and really almost kind of admitting that they've kind of ignored the Rapids, let them down. Because if you look at the KSC enterprise, you've had the Rams win a Super Bowl, the Nuggets have won an NBA championship. I think the Colorado Mammoth have won a championship. Avalanche has won a championship. Arsenal. Hey, at least they're always consistently second. um, but you look at all of that, and then you look at the Rapids, and I think, even said that he can understand why fans would feel like they have not lived up to the KSC way with the Rapids, because they haven't. And I think he at least wanted to try to make it clear that that's going to change. Like, they're going to utilize more of the KSC resources, but also try to make the Rapids the Rapids. Like, they don't want to make the Rapids the St. Louis Rams. St. Louis Rams. That shows my age. Los Angeles Rams.
People in St. Louis just like hit the desk without knowing why.
I'm sorry, I just lost you probably a lot of listeners by saying that.
We'll talk about the Baltimore Colts next too.
Yeah, the Brooklyn Dodgers. We'll get into them as well. But I think he's at least saying the right things by saying they want to utilize the resources available for KSC with all of the other winning franchises around the Rapids, but they want to make the Rapids the Rapids, which there was some immediate pushback on that, saying, well, the Rapids way hasn't worked, so what are you doing now? And that's where I think you have to take him from his word, as you should have held them accountable before, but especially from now, hold them accountable now. And if they're not performing, that's when team or fans have a real right to be upset, because it sounds like, I don't want to put words in his mouth. It sounds like he admits, because he's only been on the job 18 months, so you can't really hold him too accountable. But it sounds like he realizes that the Rapids have been the redheaded stepchild of KSC, and from this point forward, they're going to take it more serious.
Yeah, I think I do agree with your sentiment on that one. I think for so long, it's been kind of like a Home Alone situation where, like in this situation, Porrig's Macaulay Culkin. And like, sure, like when we're ordering pizza and we're like tripping up the bad guys and watching movies, like it seems great. But now, like, we've sent, I guess, because it's still not daddy, because it's not like Josh or Stan, but we sent like the neighbor or the uncle over to check on how things are going. I do have a suspicion, and this is just going off of talking to the Rapids chief business officer, Haley Dermer, who we had on the show. Greatly enjoy. I do think she has a really good mind towards righting a lot of the wrongs from the business end that will trickle over to the sporting end. But I think when Haley came onto the scene, kind of maybe did her business audit, that also maybe raised some bells up the corporate ladder. Because I believe she does directly report to Porrig, but also to Kevin. And Kevin and Haley are more of that, like, that business silo. So Kevin coming in probably sees multifold, like, how do we stop hemorrhaging money? How do we pay for facilities upgrades? And then honestly, how do we endear ourselves to Commerce City over the next 6 years so they don't kick us out in 2032 when our lease expires? They've come to a point with their relationship with Commerce City, and I mean like the city and the municipal governance, that come 2032 when their lease option expires, they're going to be negotiating from such a poor point of leverage that it really behooves the business side of KSC to come in and flex on the space so that they can negotiate a land deal come 2032. I don't know if that'll mean Dick's Sporting Goods stays there, but I'm pretty sure Kroenke, the land baron, is using that as a land bank and doesn't want the Rapids' poor public perception or performance to affect his financial valuations for that like 900 parcel of land come negotiation time.
Yeah, and it's weird to say it about them, but in relation to the Rapids, they've forgotten one of the most important parts of business. You gotta spend money to make money. I mean, my job is IT, but my crazy enough, my degree is in finance. So even though I don't do finance, I've done IT for like 15 years. Like I still follow that closely. And all you have to do is look just in the KSE silo. Look at what they're doing with the Rams and the upgrades they're thinking about that. They've even started talking about updating the practice facility for the Avalanche. Um, the contract they just gave Nikola Jokic. How much money they pour into Arsenal. Like it would seem like it's pretty simple. It's like, well, if we're doing that in all these other spots and seeing success, why are you not doing it with this other team who 24th in spending, you're really not spending a whole lot, at least on the roster. And I can't imagine they're spending a whole lot on coaching and technical staff either.
Yeah, I think I kind of picked that up between the lines of what Kevin Demoff was saying in the presser as well. Is like, we've got a model, like we know it works. I guess maybe we should try and slide it over here and like
Yeah.
press play.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure Rapids fans would want them to win an MLS Cup. Absolutely, that's the end goal for every fan. But if you could also tell them, maybe we won't win an MLS Cup in the next 6 years, but we could be like Arsenal and be second in the West the next 6 years. I'm sure many people would take that.
Yeah. Or, you know, when I buy a jersey at the beginning of the year, that player will still be here past the summer transfer window. I've gotten burned twice with Moist and with Cheeto.
See, that's why I just don't buy player jerseys. I just have my own, which I'm still going to sign and put on the wall.
I got a whole spiel on it about buy the ticket, take the ride, get the jersey in the moment. I don't regret doing it whatsoever. But I think that is like an ethos thing of like, I know how people felt about the Georgi Mihailovic move. Is like, that was a player. Kevin Demoff talked about hope in this press conference. Georgie was a player that gave fans hope. And I never want to take away the role that sports plays in kind of like the layperson's life. Like for someone like the Cronkies, like sports is, I don't know, like a piece of jewelry they put on. For a lot of us, it's an escape. It's a community. It's one of the few respites from what always seems like the shadow of doom and gloom in the world around us. And when we go there, we put our hopes and our faith in these players, in this badge, in these coaches, and for them to feel like replaceable parts or disposable parts deflates our ability to believe in the magic of sports. And I think with Paxton here for, was it a 5-year contract that we signed him to?
Yeah, 5-year.
And then we get Yappy, who's coming on. We get Cole back to good. Like, these are the types of players that I think can rebuild that good faith proposition between the team and the fans.
Before moving on to the next point, saying Georgie actually made me remember this. So we all assumed that Georgie left for the bag and whatever Toronto sold him. I mean, I don't know. I don't feel like Toronto's been much more of an example of an exemplary club than the Rapids, but that's just me. But salary specifically, at least in this first year, he's not leaving for the bag. His guaranteed comp is only tens of thousands more than what Paxton's guaranteed comp is. Now that could change. Like it could progressively get more, but that would be a big jump. Like I don't get the feeling that his salary demands were that much as much as we thought they were.
Yeah, you're probably. I do think this is kind of like a cart and a horse kind of thing. Like I think Georgie was probably frustrated, and this probably goes more towards facilities, greater roster spend, and so what he was asking for, maybe salary wise or extension wise, isn't more than what we're paying Paxton. But I don't think what we were looking to pay Georgie replacements prior to Paxton seeking us out would have risen to the level of what Georgie is making in Toronto. So I think it's one of those post fact, like, honestly, almost a little bit of like, F you, girl, you said I'm cheap. Watch me drop this cash. Like, I don't think Yeah.
I just think it's interesting because I almost kind of hoped that it was specifically the bag that he left for. I'm no MLS expert. That's Matt Pollard. He probably could tell you more about the history of Toronto. But just from what I've seen in the 4
Well,
years,
shout out their amazing series they did, Memories from Toronto. I love listening to those episodes.
yeah. But just in the 4 years I've covered the Rapids, I don't see them being that much different than what the Rapids have done. So, I mean, maybe who's to say they won't pop off and he's right in the end and they were right. But when you look at the other teams in the East, when you're getting at least 2 more years of Messi, Philly's not going anywhere, Cincy's not going anywhere, Columbus is not going anywhere. How far does Toronto think they're going to get in the East?
I mean,
they'd have to get 2 amazing more DPs.
Tell me, though, if we're likening Toronto to Rapids, how stoked would you be if the Rapids signed one of those, like, disappearing twins from the Italian version of Matrix Reloaded? Like, dude comes in with, like, bleach braids? You're not stoked?
I mean, it's nothing against Georgie. Like, he's going to do what he thinks is best for him. But it's just strange that it was Toronto, I think, is what it boils down to.
Yeah, we talked about this a little bit too, I think, in the press box, but Toronto's a much bigger city than Denver. A lot more lifestyle choices around. I do think a young couple, I think specifically like his wife and son, like probably wanted to live in that big city environment. Like Denver's not always a fit for anyone. And there's always that aspect of when you move teams, like it's such a weird feeling to know that you could have to switch your lifestyle so quickly.
Yeah. I guess that's not a here or there, but you say Georgie and that popped in my mind because I was always wondering about what that would be, and then it came out. So one of the questions I asked him was Kevin, and I guess Porg as well, is what if they find their perfect coach? They talked a lot about how much they love this young core, but it's the perfect coach, but there's 1 or 2, maybe 3 players of this young core. He's like, well, we need to move them. We need to bring in someone that fits my style more. And I asked if they are prepared to take or make tough decisions if that is to happen. And they said yes, but they're also said that the coaching candidates that they've spoken with all love their young core as well. So, I guess we won't know until we know who the coach is. But there were players I had in mind when I asked that question. Cole Bassett. What if someone comes in and sees what Cole Bassett has done in the last 2 seasons and say, we can do without him? Even if Hoffa decides to stay, they don't sell Hoffa. What if someone comes in and says, oh, 1.4 million? Why don't we just start Yappy? Let's get him out of here. And we know they love Hoffa.
Yeah.
What if someone comes in and says, this Nico Hansen guy has been doing really good. Why are we paying Zach Steffen $1 million? I think that's things they have to consider. And I think they kind of nonchalantly are looking at that saying, well, they just love everyone that we have.
Keith, when you say, what if someone comes in and says, is the call coming from inside the building? Or you say, because we've talked about this. Like, I think Cole is a polarizing figure if you're bringing in a new coach. I think Sam Vines on a $900,000 contract, polarizing figure.
Yeah.
Like Hoffa, I mean, I don't even know what to think there. I do know because I got his jersey after we sold Awazim, which means he will not be back for the start of next season. That's my bad, guys. Like, first time, fool me once. Second time, fool me twice. Third time, like, I fucked this up, guys. But no, you're absolutely right. And the Zach question's a big one for me too. Because on one hand, I do think Zach has immense value beyond just what he provides between the posts in the goal. On the other hand, I think organizationally, we kind of screwed him over. I think the Rapids bear a lot of responsibility in why Zach Steffen was not called into that training camp. That why Zach Steffen is not, 1A or 1A or 1B for the starting position for the U.S. men's national team. And I do wonder going into 2026, a World Cup year, if players like Zach or fringe U.S. men's national players, hell, I've even wondered about Paxton if he wants to pull the Georgie card now, because he cited Chris Armas as a reason to come. But I wonder if the project of being the U.S. men's national team B team doesn't look so good in a rebuild year for these players trying to hitch their star to a home World Cup. Like we might not be saying the coach doesn't want Zach Steffen. We might be saying Zach Steffen is going to take an offer with a different team. I mean, Miami's trying to get Pedro Galese. If that doesn't work out, who's to say that Inter Messi doesn't call for Zach Steffen? If I'm Zach Steffen,
Zach Steffen, you not know who they have on their team? William Yarborough. Come on, bro.
That'd be amazing. Oh, all right, just insert that video here.
Come on now. Come on now. Don't ask dumb questions.
But so let's look at some of those players. So Paxton is signed through 2030. Hoffa is signed through 2027, option 2028. Cole's signed through 2027. Vines is signed through 2027. Who's some other players maybe that fall into that line? Reggie is signed through 2027. Holding is signed through 2026, so that's a little bit less of a ding if he's, because it was always going to be a guaranteed 18 months of him, which is why I didn't mind it, especially since they got him on a free transfer. There's not much risk there at only a guaranteed 18 months, but there's a lot of players.
I assumed with Rob Holding, when I saw the 18-month contract, that it's a pretty like cut and dry. Like Rob Holding is with the Rapids until Denver Summit FC acquires his girlfriend Svendis from Angel City, or LA acquires Holding from the Rapids. Like I think those two are going to play in the same city at the end of that contract one way or another.
Yeah. But I mean, there's a lot of players there who have openly said either they came here to play with Chris or they really enjoy Chris as a coach, which was one of the other questions I asked him. Was like, well, are you concerned that some of these players might, I didn't ask if they might leave, but like what their plan is if players decide to change their mind, essentially. And he said, or Pork said, they talked to at least the leadership of the team, and everyone is good. That's what he said. And
I didn't. I couldn't tell whether he meant like the leadership, like of the players, or the leadership, like the Crookums and people around the team that are still there.
I assumed he meant the leadership of the players. And I found that immediately kind of ironic and interesting because Max Sue is one of the leadership of the players, and he said, "Fuck it, I'm gone." So
yeah,
take that for how you will.
We talked to the leadership of the team, and everyone seems to be like totally on board except the captain. He's out.
Yeah. So I mean,
yeah.
It's hard to say for sure. I can understand why someone who's been a fan of the team since 96 or 2012 would think, well, here we go with this BS again. We're saying that again. But I think from a fresher perspective, I think Kevin says a lot of the right things. I don't know about you, but I also kind of feel like he quietly said, well, this is it here. And without looking at Pork, saying, hey, this is it. Get your shit together or you're gone next year. But I do believe they do have a good young core. I do believe that one of the things Pork said is that they've been hitting on a lot of more players recently, which in truth they have. It's hard to judge Paxton just because he hasn't been here or played that long. Cheetah was a great signing. Unfortunate thing happened with him. He wanted to be out of this shithole country, probably.
I mean, couldn't get visas to the shithole country. Yeah.
Georgie was a great signing. It didn't work out as far as the relationship, but he was a great signing. Hoffa has been a great signing. I think Reggie's been very good. So it's not like they, in the last 2 seasons, have made a lot of bad signings. We're not going to talk about Lamine Diak. That happened.
I'm still cool with the number 8. I think who played 8 minutes, Lamine Diak, like the legend of Lamine Diak.
I think overall they have made good roster decisions, especially when you account for the players who aren't even here yet. I mean, we've seen Judgmental Jim. He's excited about Lucas Harrington, who he follows Aussie football a lot. I've seen a few games of Bryce Jamison, who looks amazing with Orange County. So I do think they have the roster piece of it, or at least pieces of the roster right. There's some players who are kind of up in the air. Ted is up in the air. Unfortunately, I think Josh is up in the air. I think he's going to depend on what coach they bring in and what system they want to run. But there are things that have been good. Now they need to put it all together, and I think that's what they're trying to do.
So that's when we get into this next topic. That's actually a really good point to lead into that. I see what you're saying on Ted and on Josh, and this was a point we made to Porig when we sat down with Porig, Monk and I, is that I know it sounds like obviously I'm not content with Porig's performance. I don't think he should get to hire his 4th coach. No. I'll make the caveat that I don't think he should get to hire his 4th coach in a vacuum. And what I talk about next is going to kind of explain that point. But one thing that was very clear is I like Porig when Porig has $8 million to splash on Paxton Aronson. I like Porig when Porig has $5 million to secure Hoffa Navahu. Like no one's gonna. I think it's really hard to judge a cash-strapped Porig Smith trying to like squeeze a dime out of 2 nickels with every single spot on the roster. But I do think the coaching hires and the lack of what I'll call roster cohesion really speaks to how we can build up the team. So do you want to go into that?
Yeah, let's go.
All right, let's get into it because, ladies and gentlemen, I have come up with 3 pairings of 6 people to fix the Colorado Rapids. First things first, and we're going to do some background here, because Keith, you're going to vet these as I tell you them, and you're going to be like, is this whack or is this not? But I think the first things first is I want to point out Porig Smith in all of these exercises is no longer the chief soccer officer. Porig Smith is the president of the Colorado Rapids. He handles the top line ledgers. And I think knowing his skill set and really valuing his skill set, I think it'd be silly for KSC to lose Porig Smith from the organization. I'd love to see him go into more of the KSC umbrella programming departments. So each option I'm going to present is going to be a coach paired with a specific CSO that I think will really bring the team and coach to life. So first up is going to be our boy, coach of Colorado Rapids 2, the 2023 MLS Pro Next Coach of the Year, who presided over one of the most historic offenses in MLS Next Pro, and he's brought his team back to the 2025 Western Conference Final to be played on Sunday. This is a man who is on the record as talking about his interactions with players being more of a pedagogical teaching experience. I'll use the climbing wall example of he puts the players in front of the wall and prepares them to solve the problems themselves, as opposed to joysticking or relying on like a very rigid system. I also think he's kind of a philosopher coach that really understands how to take positionless players and developmental players and form them into the best versions of themselves. He also rewards players who who show beyond what they were previously prescribed to. I think James Cameron is a great example of that. We've talked to him. He's like, we keep putting James up there because he keeps rewarding us. And, now James Cameron is this marauding winger who just is always good for a goal or assist. So I think from a continuity standpoint, this is a Cole Bassett and Darren Yappy hire as much as it is a team hire. I think we move Eric Boucher to the first team coaching position. We allow him to get Cole right again. If we're going to put all our cards in on Yappy, which I think is a really good bet, I want Eric Boucher to be the man standing behind him. I do want to pair him with another MLS Next Pro Coach of the Year as the new chief soccer officer for the Colorado Rapids in John Hackworth. Hack is currently the interim coach for St. Louis City 2 because someone needed to do it. And when someone needed to do it, he did it and got the 2025 Coach of the Year award for it. Unfortunately, they just got knocked out of the playoffs by Minnesota United 2, but they were viewed as a buzzsaw. Plus, I really think the bushwhacking Burgundy Boy era has a really good ring to it. But Hack is one of those guys like Eric Boucher, who is kind of synonymous with the American soccer landscape. Hack has worked with St. Louis. He's worked with the U.S. soccer office. He's done the general manager role, the coach role, the technical director role. I think what we see right now in our Rapids front office, and not to be mean, I'm just going to quote American Soccer Analysis, are a bunch of nerd bosses. We got data warriors, and that's great. I love analytics, but I think analytics and picking players by statistical profiles in a vacuum is what's causing so much of the cohesion void when the players hit the pitch. It's causing the delays in them catching in or melding with the tactics. And I think it's frustrating the coaches, like specifically Robin Fraser and Chris Armas, who I think are a little more old school, like you always say, like the football guys versus the statistics guys. So that's my pairing number one, the bushwhacking era, John Hackworth as CSO, Eric Boucher as Rapids' new head coach. Thoughts on that one?
So I will add a little bit more fuel to that fire that excites me. It brings me back to my emo days. I have a fire inside. But Cameron vs. Porg or Kevin, one of the two, did say they aren't necessarily looking for a coach with previous head coaching experience. I'm assuming they meant at the MLS level, but someone that they think is going to be a good fit to work with their core who is young. And what better person to bring in for that than Eric Boucher? He's already familiar with most of the young players. I mean, look what he did in 2023 with 2023, I think parts of 2024 as well with Darren Yappy. Yappy was so down on himself that they sent him down to R2. Guess what he does when he gets down to R2? He starts scoring goals, helps them through a playoff push. Look at Bilo Jop. Really a non-entity before he comes to Rapids 2. What does he do? He goes out, and had he played more minutes, he's probably the Golden Boot winner and MLS Next Pro. He's got Alex Harris scoring and contributing. What he's done with James Cameron. I think if you are going to make the inside hire, there's one or two people I would consider. Eric Boucher, the other one, Chris Little. But I think number one would be Eric Boucher, just because what he's done with R2, even in 2024 when he had a down year, he still had to compete like hell with all of the chaos that was going on with that R2 roster. All of the chaos that was going on with the R2 roster this season. I mean, they've had some constants in Sydney and Bilo, Charlie, and James, but you had Sam in and out, Wayne in and out, Alex in and out. Fadal had injuries that he had to deal with. He just knows how to make a roster work.
Yeah, I think. Well, I mean, that's a great point. 2022, like Eric Boucher started this MLS Next Pro project. He was doing the Rapids Younger Academy. I don't think it gets pointed out enough that Eric Boucher was coaching up Cole Bassett and Lindsey Horan, now Lindsey Heaps, when they were kids. Like he is a fixture and mentor in Colorado soccer, but I also think he's just a wealth of opportunity if we are doubling down on the academy development style club, which, and I'll get to this a little bit later, which I think should be more directly integrated with Arsenal. Then I think having two people in John Hackworth and Eric Boucher that are academy youth, that's where they cut their teeth. They know how to mold pros and from a financial standpoint create assets that KSE can then sell and then retool. I think they'd be a great pairing.
Yeah, and I'll also add, if there's only one reason I would be okay with selling Hoffa this in the next primary transfer window, and that's
I know
if
where you're going.
Boucher is the coach, just because he got, what was it, 14 or 15 goals out of Below.
Yeah.
He got the goals out of Yappy. I think he could get
7
more goals
out of
out
Alex
of Yappy.
Harris.
Yeah, I think he can get more out of Yappy to kind of stomach if they're going to go back to the 4-2-3-1. He goes with the 4-3-3 as we've seen often with R2. Yeah. Either way, I think I would be okay if he is going to be the coach.
I mean, I think so much of our future hopes hang on the youth on this roster. Because I think, like we talked about, there's definitely going to be a bit of a roster churn, purge, retool, what have you. I think the one constant we know is going to be Paxton Aronson. And then I think the assets in the wings that we're pretty high on are going to be your Bryce Jameson, your Sidney Wathuta, your Charlie Harper, your Lucas Harrington, your Ali Fadal. And a through line for
Wanyoma as well, depends on if they go through with that.
I think a through line for a lot of those guys is Eric Boucher. Like if I'm molding Ali Fadal into the just field wrecking 6 that I think he can be, like I want Eric to stick there and be in his corner and help develop that. But that's pairing number 1. Moving on to the next pairing. It's a similar vibe, but we're going to go with Ryan Richter. He is the coach of Philadelphia Union 2 in the MLS Next Pro, a team who I think very well might be the Rapids 2's opponent for the MLS Next Pro championship here in a week. He's a former professional soccer player. He retired and then joined the Philadelphia Union Academy system as the director and coach for the U12s, moved up to U15s and U17s. He then spent 2 years as the right-hand man to Jim Curtin during kind of those successful Philadelphia Union, the 2022 Cup run. And now for this past year has been the head coach of Philadelphia Union 2 and is taking them probably to a championship. This is another young guy who would be getting his first head coaching experience. But I think his pedigree and his Union way of building players that win by all means necessary in a team format is exactly what you hear Kevin talk about and exactly kind of what Porig says in that play the kids mentality. I know a lot of people will want a different Philadelphia Union adjacent coach in Jim Curtin.
He's not picking up the phone.
I just don't see how he works here because the whole reason he's not with the Union right now is because Ernst Tanner, the president or the sporting director of the Union, said play the kids, and he said no. He said fuck them kids. And so now Jim Curtin is not with the Union and Bradley Carnell is, and then Union still look amazing. So I think what worries me, I'm not saying Jim Curtin is a bad coach, but I'm saying I wonder how much of the credit for this Union consistency is on Ernst Tanner. And I think a lot of it is. And I think Jim Curtin coming from a frustrating situation, coming into an organization with another GM that's just going to be like, play the kids. I don't think that works out.
You know what it reminds me of? There's a great immediate happening now example. Jim Curtin coming here would be like Bill Belichick going to University of North Carolina.
That's an amazing analog.
Terrible fit. It was always going to be a terrible fit, and we're seeing it play out in front of us right now.
Yeah, but I do want to shout out Jim Curtin for having age appropriate standards in his romantic relationships. So good on you, Jimmy. Way to keep it above the DiCaprio rule. So the person I'm going to pair with Ryan Richter as the new head coach of the Colorado Rapids, the new CSO for the Colorado Rapids, is going to be Tommy Wilson. Tommy is currently with Charlotte FC as their director of recruiting, I believe is his position. Tommy was a professional soccer player. He played and then worked with the Scottish national team. He was the U19, U20 head coach for the Scottish national team, then became the technical director for Rangers FC. In 2013, he moved over to Philadelphia Union, where they had him as the academy director, professional development director. He then moved into the league office to do MLS Academy he's on the MLS Academy Director Committee. He chairs that committee. And then since 2024, he's been in Charlotte FC as the technical director. So there's some synergy and some working relationship between Tommy Wilson and Ryan Richter from their Philadelphia Union days. Big testament for Tommy Wilson is, I think, the translation he's done of taking kind of his own principles and experience and that Union Academy and player pathway and translated that into Charlotte's own bespoke version of that. So I think the thing for me was, is it copying one thing to try and get the same result, or is it gleaning one thing and then cultivating that into a new facet? And I think he's done that successfully in Charlotte FC. I look at how they developed Patrick Odgman in this past year and a half and sold him on to Derby County. I think that bringing him in, doing the same thing with a Darren Yappy would be a great move. And I think that'd be a great pairing for my number two couple to save the Rapids. What do you think of that one?
Yeah, I think I like that one as well. They have previous chemistry. And on a note of previous chemistry, little things matter. So you're bringing in two people who's gonna be heading who you think is your next cornerstone of the roster, and Paxton Anderson.
That's the thing I completely forgot to mention this. Tommy Wilson directly oversaw the development of the Aronson brothers, amongst others.
Yeah.
Amongst Mark
Paxton
McKenzie,
Anderson,
amongst the
Mark
Sullivans.
McKenzie. So if you're looking from an aspect of we want to develop our young players, two perfect people. If you're looking for an aspect of we want some of our fringe U.S. MNT players to get back on that squad, Tommy Wilson's going to be great for that. You kind of wonder if it's a challenge they want to take on, being that they are in such good spots. It would have to be a compelling argument, especially when you look at Tommy Wilson. In his mind, he's thinking, well, I want to develop young players, but if the opportunity arises, also want the team to spend money on if a Wilfred Zaha becomes available again. So that would have to be a very compelling sell from the end of Porig and Kevin saying, well, yeah, we're going to do that. If that happens, but can they say that with certainty that they're going to do that if that happens?
Yeah, that's a really fair point, and I will address it a little bit in my next pairing. But what I think needs to happen here is there needs to be a very tacit understanding, now that Kevin Demoff is in the picture, that the Rapids are a vehicle to Arsenal. Like, the Rapids are a developmental next step between where you currently are. And in these situations, Ryan Richter Tommy Wilson, John Hackworth are all blocked from taking the next hierarchical step in their organization. And so I'm choosing people in good situations because I think good situations are the result of the people in them and they translate culturally. So I don't want someone who's a distressed asset or in a bad situation looking to get out. I'm deliberately trying to poach people from successful environments because they will recreate that. And I think offering the head coach and CSO position at the Rapids is a step up in the development chain that is currently blocked to them. I think we do eventually have the financial pool to pay them well, and I think we really should be dangling that carrot, not just as an enticement, but as an actual stepping stone to Arsenal. I think that, and actually, I'll save that next point for the next couple. But I think we represent real opportunity and value with these roles.
Yeah. I think of the three, I'll still put them second. Not that they're bad. I just have that much respect for Boucher.
Yeah. Okay. So here's my go for broke one. And I'll sort out my rankings a little bit and how I feel about this one. But I think the new coach. So if the first pairing was the Cole Bassett, Darren Yappy, the 4 Colorado pairing. The second is the Paxton Aronson pairing. This is the Arsenal pairing. So what I want is the new head coach of the Colorado Rapids to be Patrick Ampadu. He is currently Wilfred Nance's right-hand man at the Columbus Crew. He was also Thierry Henry's right-hand man at the beginning of Henry's short stint with Montreal. And then Montreal deliberately kept him on through the coaching change to be the right-hand man for Wilfred Nance during those CF Montreal years that saw them invest so shrewdly, develop so well, create your Georgi Mihailovic, I think the Ismail Kones. And one of the main things that Nancy did was make sure that Ampadu came with him to Columbus. We will point out that also there's some, I don't know, some wish casting of maybe Ethan Ampadu wants to leave Leeds and come play under his dad in a couple of years. I do think being 25 and the captain at Leeds probably means it's not anytime soon, but his dad's only 54, so there's time. But the really cool thing about this is Ampadu was an Arsenal Academy product, both as a player and a coach. He's from England. He played for the Irish national team. So there you go, Porrig. That's immediately checks a box for him. His mother was Irish, his father was Ghanaian, and I think with especially the Irish Academy pipeline investing so highly in scouting these African talents, I'm thinking of your Ali Fadal from Ghana, your Bilo Diop from Senegal, your Dauda Amadou from Cameroon, Chido Awazim from Nigeria. I think that background would be extremely well suited to developing those players and really getting the most out of that new scouting market that we seem to really be diving into. But back to the Arsenal lineage, he came up as a player in the Arsenal category or academy, and then started his coaching development, coaching in the Arsenal academy from 2012 to 2018. He first linked up with Thierry Henry in Monaco, so the coaching experience there, and then CF Montreal, and now with Wilfred Nance and Columbus. So he's become well versed in two distinct styles, which I think is the Thierry Henry very active 4-3-3, and then all the very possession and kind of beautiful football based 3-5-2 that Nancy works a lot out of. And I know the fan base has talked a lot this offseason and during the season of should we be in a back 4 or should we be in a back 3? And I do see a lot of intelligence in setting it up if we go a back 3 and having your Lucas Harrington and your Noah Cobb, or your Lucas Harrington and your Charlie Harper as the left center back and right center back, to a Rob Holding central center back, and allowing Rob to also step up and play that 6 position formationally, which if we want to continue to have that double pivot and set Cole and Paxton up for success, having someone that's honestly like a little bit bigger and more able to get stuck in than Connor Ronan would be really beneficial and allow Rob Holding the freedom to step up, because he's also good with the ball. Once he gets upfield, he can put those passes out. So that's my Arsenal connection for the coach, the next coach of the Rapids. Again, that's Kwame Ampadu. And then the new CSO that I'm going to pair with Kwame is another Arsenal connection, and that's going to be Per Mertesacker. He is the director of the academy for Arsenal. This is a guy who has basically redeveloped Hale End and the youth program for Arsenal and done that Strong Young Gunners program. I think he also, like some of the other candidates, is blocked by Andrea Berta from the sporting director standpoint. And so this represents a way to keep him in KSC, but allow him to take the next step organizationally. And I think from everything you hear in Arsenal, Per is just an amazing culture guy. He will come in as CSO and I think recreate an ecosystem. And I think that's the exact pairing that would suit a coach like Kwame Ampadu, who is going to need to do a lot of, I think, cultural shifting in how his players approach the game. This would be the most work in adapting our players, both skill set wise and formationally, but I think have the highest ceiling. And I think having strong young water gunners as like a Rapids move and really solidifying that vertical integration with Arsenal could be hugely successful.
I think it's a definite swing for the fences on that last one. I mean, if that could happen, that would be great. But especially with the gentleman coming from Arsenal, I don't think how you can really pitch that to him as anything but a demotion. Going from a perennial second place team in the English Premier League, arguably still the best league in the world, to coming here to run a Rapids program. It's not impossible. Because it is within the KSC family, I can't foresee them burning him up quite a bit. To say this is going to be great for you, we'll make sure it's great. But if it were me, I would say no. I'm not going to go from Arsenal to Colorado Rapids. But fair. On the coaching side, I think that's maybe a little bit more believable. You talk about a pedigree of winning, you have it right there. It definitely is a promotion because he's gone from first assistant, head coach to head coach. It's probably going to be an up in salary. It's going to be more responsibility. It's going to be a chance to prove himself. But maybe he doesn't want to be a head coach. You look at someone like Eric Bieniemy, who was under Andy Reid for so long. Pushed being head coach, decided to try himself as a head coach. Complete disaster. He went immediately back to being an offensive coordinator. So I think if he's willing to try himself, I think it's at least worth the call. I think he would probably even pick up the call, because sometimes people don't want to be a head coach. Sometimes they're just waiting for that perfect opportunity to challenge themselves. And without a doubt, it would be a challenge for him to come here with all that's going on. But if you want someone to take on a challenge like that, I think he's a good pick.
I think if, as part of drawing, like if we could get Per Mertesacker in here, like that's also a drawing point for Kwame Ampadu, because I do see his talent and his pedigree as being a succession plan for Arteta at Arsenal. I think it's that high value of a signing, and that's why I do think it would be that important for the organization to say to Mertesacker, like, hey, we need you to do this, and like, you guys are now going to be the next generation for Arsenal after Arteta and Berta.
Yeah, and on the good side of that is they already know how much he makes at Arsenal, so that's no secret. So they can know what to expect from salary range. And then they can also see what he does with the money they get at Arsenal. So that's a plus there as well.
Yeah. A couple other random shout outs. So Michael Stevens was my more realistic pairing for Kwame Ampadu. Stevens originally came up with LA Galaxy and kind of did that reboot with Kuntz, getting them together, kind of pairing up Paintsel and Peck with a talent like Ricky Pooch, which I think is something that we really should value going forward with. Who are we going to put on the sides of Paxton Aronson to maximize this 5-year club record signing? He's currently helping his boy Greg Berhalter do that Chicago rebuild, which we're seeing is paying off. So if he wants to take the next step as CSO, which he wasn't able to do in Galaxy and wasn't able to do, or isn't currently able to do with Berhalter's role in Chicago, then we offer it here in Colorado. And then the last shout is, I don't know what role to put him in, because I think that I'm not terribly upset with the Rapid scouting department, but I want Chris Zitterbart back. Chris is the one that identified Hoffa, identified Moise Bombito. He also identified Max and Brian Galvan, which, for whatever circumstances happened, I loved Max and Brian Galvan, and I thought they were really good talent identifications. Since
Just
he
maybe
went
some gambling and spitting problems.
Yeah, that's fine. Who doesn't? I mean, gambling and spitting is basically the national anthem now. Like, I don't understand why we're mad about that. Chauncey Billups, baby, I stand with you. But Chris left he was basically poached to become the director of scouting at the Philadelphia Union. And then we took all of Philadelphia Union's draft picks. So I think it's only fair that we take him and his immense North American and South American scouting knowledge back.
And he gets to use those draft picks.
Yeah, he can be CSO if he wants. Go for it. And I think a key pairing is these are two people that are going to come in together, and I want 4 or 5 year contracts because I really want to put the faith in to building out this thing the right way. And this allows Porig to sunset over the last year of this contract out of the decision by decision nature of his current role. This still allows Fran and his experience with Arsenal and Stat DNA to shine. And I think this really adds to verified, up and coming football people to come in and build out the Colorado Rapids as opposed to just do the perpetual rebuild.
Which is the thing that Kevin mentioned, Kevin Demoff, when he talked about particularly Sean McVay with the Rams, to where they put in a person who was kind of on people's radars, but not a super known entity, and let him build through to the point to where he got to a Super Bowl really early. They didn't give up on him. They even thought about retiring at one point, but he stayed. Then they went through to get it to the Super Bowl again. So I think that's what's good about Kevin is he has the right ideas in mind for things like that. It's just a matter of whether or not he can pull it off with the Rapids.
Of the three, I'm still just so attached to Eric Boucher and John Hackworth. I think just from a proof of concept standpoint and an intimate knowledge of Eric, I do think Kwame, if we're going for a Sean McVay, Kwame's the Sean McVay hire. Like, hands down.
And I think why I would be more partial to Boucher is that if you think and have a pretty sure certainty that you're going to keep 90% of your young core with you, you go with the person who's been around 90% of that young core. I mean, he hasn't been around Paxton, but most of the young core are homegrown players. And there's a relationship. Like, you want as much continuity as you can get if you can get it. And if he can bring that, you bring that.
I mean, with Eric Boucher, you've given him a random deck of cards 4 different years in a row. And as we've seen this year, especially, every week he's getting a different deck of cards. And he's gotten you to the Western Conference final 50% of the time. Like, bring him into a team that can't even make the playoffs 38% of the time. If there's an internal, this seems like the homegrown internal pathway, like reward system that Kevin talked about. It seems like a no-brainer.
Yeah.
Do you have anyone you want to throw in the mix?
I mean, unless Pep is gonna leave Man City, then no, I'm good.
I do. I'm still am. I'm a big Vanni Sartini guy. If we're just plugging in a coach, just outside of a coach in a vacuum, I think Vanni Sartini would be amazing to come in and create that disciplined three in the back, perennial playoff contender. And I do love Luis, our photographer and Bangarang teammate, was talking about how much as a Mexican American he would love Vicente Sanchez to come in, and that we could actually maybe sign some Mexican star players.
Hey, with Sartini, I think I got Robin Fraser to curse once in a press conference. So if he comes in, we'll get a jar on press row. How many times he curses, we'll go out for beers. Probably after the first press conference.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, can you imagine we get Vanni Sartini in Colorado and like it comes to pass that he says something like, if Matt Pollard shows up in a ditch, everyone's gonna think it's me. Jesus. Shout out Matt Pollard. Yeah, so that's where I'm at with the coaching search. Unless you have anything you want to add to it, well,
Yeah, I mean, Pork did the Pork thing and played it close to the vest because I think he really does think it's a competitive advantage that they're not saying much about their coaching search, which agree to disagree. But if you listen to them and just them, they have strong candidates that they are interviewing. And I think the exact quote was, they're not having a hard time finding people to interview and that are interested. So I would hope that it would be done before November 26th. He wouldn't commit to that. But ideally you would want it done before that because you want your new coach involved on the roster decisions that you're going to make. But we'll see.
I'm going to go on record now. If Peter Vermees comes in, we riot.
Caleb Porter, you can add that to that as well.
No, absolutely. All right, so let's recap the playoff bracket. So Keith, you wanna walk us through where the playoff series stand?
Yeah, so you have Chicago. So Philly's up 1-0. That game went to penalties. So Philly has that 1-0 lead. You have Vancouver at 1-0. They did what we all thought they would do, which is smoke Dallas. San Diego, a little bit tougher than I thought it would be for them, but they're up 1-0 on Portland. Hell is Real was exactly what we expected. Ben K with a super late goal not super late, but late enough to give Cincy that 1-0 lead in that one. Go back. Why are you skipping around on me? LAFC has played, I know, but it is not showing me.
LAFC beat Austin 2-1.
Yes, beat Austin 2-1.
Austin spotted them a goal though. Spotted them an own goal.
Yeah.
Hindsight.
Yeah. So that always sucks
because they needed it.
It always sucks when you score 2 goals, but you only score 1 and you lose. They're calling it an upset. New York City beating Charlotte. I don't really think so. Charlotte was without Zaha because he was an idiot on decision day and got the second yellow. But he comes back for this next match, which I think is going to be an interesting one tomorrow, actually.
Did you see that? Did you see that Zaha clip where he's talking post game? He's like, "What do you want me to be? I could be Zaha, or I could be every other player. Do you want every other player, or do you want Zaha?"
He's absolutely one of those players that you hate.
I love him.
Unless he's on your team.
Yeah.
But and then you had Minnesota and Seattle also go to penalties. Minnesota wins that 1-0. So that's where we stand right now.
Yeah, those penalties were wild too. Shout out to Dane St. Clair for just being the most shit-housing penalty goalkeeper ever, sticking his tongue out, blowing kisses, like talking over the ref's shoulder at the PK taker. I love watching him.
That's what you want, though. Like,
Yeah,
you just don't want
exactly.
the goalkeeper who's just going to stand there and try to calculate the odds. Like, the odds are always in the favor of the penalty taker. So you do whatever you need to do to throw their game off, and he is an absolute master at that.
You have any hot takes or any advancements after the first playoff matches, you think?
I think Zaha's going to make that much of a difference. Charlotte's going to win the next two. I think we're going to see a sweep in Miami. I know that the matches have mostly been competitive between Miami and Nashville, but you see what happened the last match they played against each other in the regular season, and then what happened in game one. Messi and them boys are in their head. Like, that series is over.
That felt like they were like, "Oh, you thought this was the regular season, huh?"
yeah. And I don't know if there's gonna. No, I'll say Columbus and Cincy would be the other series that goes to 3. There's no way they're gonna allow Darlington Nagbe to go out in a sweep in his last postseason run. I don't know if they're gonna win in Game 3, but I think it will get to Game 3.
I agree with that one. I'm still curious about Chicago, Philadelphia. I was really high on Chicago going into this one, so I want to see if they can balance out the series and take it to Game 3. On the other side, I think LAFC is gonna boat race Austin. I think this Minnesota-Seattle series got so much more interesting with that game going to PKs.
Yeah, I was not expecting that.
Yeah.
Honestly, I thought Seattle would sweep it in 2 games. I'm kind of surprised Minnesota got that first win.
All right. With us today is the 4th overall pick in the 2025 MLS Super Draft out of Cornell University, sporting accolades such as the 2024 Ivy League Offensive Player of the Year, Mac Herman Trophy semifinalist, Generation Adidas athlete, and definitively better than Josh Atencio at hooping. Hailing from Vancouver, Washington, we're lucky to have him in soccer because the Seattle Supersonics folded, to be quite honest. We're joined by none other than Alex Harris. Alex, how are you today?
Good. How are you guys? Thank you for having me on today.
Absolutely. So for listeners just on the podcast version of this, not watching on YouTube, we saw Alex earlier in the morning, and now he's sporting a really crisp haircut. Do you want to drop your barber's name, get some coops or anything like that?
Miguel Frosto. If anyone needs a fresh cut or lineup, you know who to go to. Box State Barbers.
You heard it here first. Miguel Frosto, Box State Barbers, gets the Alex Harris stamp of approval.
I always tell myself I'm going to get a new barber or get a barber, and I just end up at Sports Clips every time.
There's this older Italian gentleman over here in Wheat Ridge named Sam. He's got Sam's Barbershop. I just feel like an old dude whenever I go in, but it's like the mayor of Wheat Ridge and like all these old Italian dudes, and then like some like younger 20s and 30s guys. But
that's
it's
a
like
front
going
for
into a
something
different
else.
era.
You know that's a front for something else.
No, Sam's not like that. Come on, man. All right, so Alex, we'll start how we always do. Outside of soccer, and in your own words, tell the people who you are.
I would say I enjoy a lot of different things outside of soccer. Whether I love watching sports, whether it be basketball, football, golf, tennis, whatever it is. I played a lot of sports growing up, so naturally I've been exposed to a lot of that. And I don't know, I'd just say I'm a very creative and, person that just likes to try a lot of new things, experience new stuff, which has been cool. Moving to Colorado, a new place that I've never really been to. So, overall, just pretty decently outgoing and, just trying to make the most of, my time in Colorado and whatever I'm doing. So.
Before we move on, Keith, I do want to, there's been some media scrutiny lately between Rapids reporters and the people behind the microphone at press conferences. Notably, you bullied me by saying, I believe it was, "Come on now, don't ask dumb questions."
Come on now. Come on now. Don't ask dumb questions.
So I'd like to give you the opportunity to formally apologize for said bullying.
Well, I mean, yeah, here's my apology. I am sorry, but at the same time, you also asked me who's a better basketball player, me or Josh Tensio, and I mean, I'm not saying it's a bad question. I'm not saying that again, but all I'm going to say is there's a clear answer there.
Yeah, I mean, I honestly, after I saw the video that R2 and Tori posted of you talking to the teammates saying they should be scared of you, so I just really want to make sure that I'm in your good graces personally before we go on with the rest of the interview.
Yeah, I mean, this is always fun, banter with the guys. So, I mean, still Josh can't beat me, so that is what it is.
But he's
All right,
taller.
that's the
He can't
interview.
beat you.
Ladies and gentlemen.
He can't get his height on you at all either.
No, we just play bump, or sorry, not bump, horse. So it's just shot making, and yeah, I mean, the results speak for themselves.
He's got to learn to dunk. That's where he's got to get his advantage right there.
Yeah, if we were actually 1v1ing, he might have me because he's got the size and whatnot.
Okay,
so.
no. You're getting too conciliatory now. Back it up. We're sticking. The company line is Josh Atencio can't hoop like Alex Harris, and we move.
Yes. Well, we can keep it at that and move on.
Yeah. All right, Keith.
All right. So tell us about your soccer journey. Like, how did you come to playing football as a kid? And then how did that get you through college into where you are now playing with Rapids and with R2 as well?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, like I said, I played a lot of different sports growing up. I never really had a main sport until probably high school age. I never played for an academy for soccer or anything like that. I played a lot of different sports, but it was always super fun. And then around, freshman year of high school probably is when I realized that soccer was the sport I was best at and that I could have a future in it maybe. And so that's when I started really dialing in on that and taking it more seriously. And I played for Washington Timbers Club and Columbia River High School. So grateful to be able to have experienced both the club scene and the high school scene, as I know a lot of upcoming soccer players nowadays don't get that opportunity because of the prevalence of academies and whatnot. But yeah, came out of Vancouver and had some good seasons with Washington Timbers and Columbia River High School. And I actually, coming out of high school, didn't technically have any real offers going into college, but it was always my goal to go to the best academic school that was possible for me. So I wouldn't say I really put myself out there too much for soccer because I wanted to go to a good academic school, and a lot of those, sometimes it doesn't line up that way, but I did reach out to all the Ivy League schools, and Cornell, University of Pennsylvania, and Yale were the three that were actually interested in me. And University of Pennsylvania actually saw me at a showcase, an ECNL showcase, my junior year of high school, I want to say. So that's kind of what opened the door to the Ivy Leagues and got my brain turning about that possibility. So they were talking to me. I ended up going to a camp at University of Pennsylvania, went to a camp at Cornell, and went to a camp at Yale. And through talking with all those schools, it just came down that I was pretty late to the window of recruiting. So a lot of them had already, had all their recruits at that point. So, and Yale actually told me that if I wanted to take a gap year, that I could get an academic spot there. But I wasn't really interested in that at that point. Like, I kind of just wanted to, get to college and get on with my life, not really, not waste, but not really forego a year of my life doing that. And then Cornell actually was the one I was talking to the most seriously. University of Pennsylvania kind of fizzled off decently early, even though they were the first ones that reached out to me. But Cornell was the one I was talking to the most seriously, and they ended up choosing another forward over me in my position. So that happened, but they said they were still very high on me and they wanted me at the school if possible and to play on the team. So they said, if you can get in on your own, then we would love to have you on the team. And so I guess technically, I don't know what went on behind the scenes or anything like that, but I guess technically I was a walk-on or preferred walk-on, whatever you may call it. And then going in college, I honestly didn't really know what to expect from like the soccer because I had never really, no offense to my high school or club team, I had never really been on a super high level team of any sorts. So didn't really know what to expect from that. And being on a really good team for once, we were ranked a lot of the year, my freshman year and sophomore year. So and then got my opportunity in a preseason game and ended up scoring and sort of just kept my place in the lineup moving forward after that. And I mean, there was some adjustment period. But sort of hit the ground running when the regular season started my freshman year and was able to score 12 goals my freshman year and then carry that over to sophomore year, scored 19 goals and I mean, ended up getting drafted 4th overall, and that's pretty much my journey.
No,
That's
I was
awesome,
a
man.
terrible student in high school, and I played football. And I've always looked at the soccer practices and like, that's terrible to do all that running. So how did you manage the beast that I felt soccer practice was with keeping good enough grades to get into Cornell?
I mean, it was definitely hard at times, but at the same time, like it was almost like because I loved going to training, I loved going to practice and whatnot. So it was almost like sort of, after school, do your homework, do whatever, get some work done, and then you get to go sort of reward yourself, play play sports, play soccer with all your boys and your friends from school. And so I didn't see it as like super like hard or anything just because it was so enjoyable for me. And I mean, I wouldn't be doing it today if I didn't love doing it. So
You're just amazing at everything. Got it.
no,
We're to clip that and send that to every Department of Education in the U.S. Like, do you work? Hang out with your boys. Enjoy life. That's the recipe. You were studying engineering at Cornell, correct?
I was studying engineering. Yes.
Nice. Is that something you think you'll pursue after soccer or in between?
I hope so. Yeah. I'm still, Cornell doesn't offer online classes, but I'm taking 2 online classes at Boulder right now. But
Nice.
just to set the record straight, engineering at Cornell was hard. I struggled with that. So
Okay, I feel a little bit better.
it wasn't as easy sounding as high school was.
All right. So we've talked about college. I want to talk about the transition from college to the pros. You get drafted 4th overall, uh, grew up Pacific Northwest, go to Cornell. Now you come to Denver, Colorado. What was that transition like from both a lifestyle standpoint and then also kind of a work-life balance standpoint?
Yeah, I mean, from a lifestyle I guess from both standpoints, it's pretty different. From a lifestyle standpoint, it's very different going from, being around thousands of kids your age, living in dorms, eating at dining halls, everything, the whole college life thing, coming out of that and, living on my own in an apartment and basically having to switch to full adult mode pretty quick there after just 1.5 years in college. But I mean, I think it's been a good adjustment. And I mean, it had to, even people that graduate college have to go through that adjustment. So for me, it was just a little bit earlier than some people may. And then for the other aspect, I would say, I don't know, like, I mean, coming here and, living on my own and stuff, like, I guess you don't really live with it's very different living alone, I should say, than living, with so many friends and so many resources at your disposal. But coming here, it's been good to sort of be able to explore the city, broaden my horizons and explore basically just dive into a new chapter of my life that I'm living in now. So
Well, you have a brother, correct?
I do, yeah.
Do you want to do the Cole and Sam Bassett? Like, tell your brother to come move in and.
Yeah, he is planning on coming out to Colorado's next year because he's actually getting his certifications to become a firefighter in Texas right now. He's a year and a half younger than me, so once he finishes all that up, his graduation's actually at the end of this month that I'll be going to in
Oh,
Texas.
nice.
So after that, we're both probably going to go home and enjoy the holidays with our family there. And then after that, I think he's planning on coming out here and getting a job out here.
Well, unfortunately,
really
there's a
cool.
great need for firefighters here often. On that note of transition, so you spent your inaugural season pulling double duties. You were working with the first team, working with the second team, playing games in both. Talk about learning from those two different coaches and really those two different locker rooms.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of it's just about adapting to your surroundings and taking information, just kind of being a sponge and taking information from everything that's happening around you. So whether it be the first team, training with the first team week in, week out, trying to get better in that environment, which is, pretty high level compared to, next pro and college. So getting better, improving in all the ways that I can from that, and then sort of being able to go down and showcase it in second team games or I'm limited second team practices. But I think overall, just being able to take information and run with it and use it to hopefully improve and, sharpen my game in any way that I can.
So, drawing from that, we've talked to your teammates. They've talked about, and we've mentioned this to you before, your rocket right foot, your ability to knife defenses. Uh, for the uninitiated that are listening to this and really hearing from you in your words for the first time, how would you describe your play style? Where do you like to play on the field?
I mean, I would say I'm just a dynamic forward. I would call it a goal scorer. Like that's mainly the main thing that I have made my living off of, and that's what I did in college. And coming here, that's what I've been trying to do is just score goals and create opportunities in the final third. So, I mean, I think I can play anywhere in the front four positions, and I have played pretty much. I mean, week in, week out, I don't exactly know where I'm playing. So I'll play right wing, striker, sometimes 10, sometimes left wing. So I think part of that is actually benefited me just being able to play in a lot of different positions along the front line. So, and I think I can use my skills and attributes of, getting in behind, scoring goals, creating chances, being sharp in the final third with in any of those positions. So I think just continuing to get better and sharpen up in those areas. That's what I'm looking to do.
So, are you aware that in some circles they call you the Ivy League Messi?
I was not aware of that.
How do you feel about that?
Well, you are now.
I mean that's an honor, honestly. I don't know if anyone can really be compared to Messi, but I mean definitely that's high regard and an honor to be spoken of like that.
Is
Well,
Messi someone you kind of style your play after, or I guess who do you really style your play after?
I would say it's kind of I would say I'd like to style my play off of sort of a Lewandowski or a Harry Kane, like a striker. But as I've been playing more different positions, it's kind of hard to say because, I'm playing all over the front line. So I'm playing like a lot of different styles and players like week in, week out. So I don't know if there's really one that, sticks out as styling it after.
that's diplomatic, and also maybe he's listening because we're an anti-Messi podcast. So it just, well, I don't want him being shoehorned as the Ivy League Messi. You get to be your own person. I think you're better. You know, we'll just we'll just go with it. Um, Speaking of like styling your play after people, what are some of the players both within the organization, R2, R1, that you really kind of picked up things from to add to your game? And then were there any players that stuck out to you that you played against this season that really caused you to step up your level?
I would say taking things from someone's game, I would say Rafa has been a huge help to me this year. I mean, even with the language barrier there, him not speaking the best English, although it is getting better. But yeah, he'll always help me out and, you know, give me little tips here and there, like what he can do, because obviously he's an experienced high level player, whether it be in MLS or in Brazil. So I think he taking things from his game and sort of trying to add aspects that he's good at into my game is something that I've been trying to do a lot of this year. And also Paxton, since he's come in, he's been super helpful to me about, you know, giving me advice and, you know, sort of just being open to me about like how to improve, what areas I can sharpen up, where I'm doing good and things like that.
Nice. You've got a big game coming up on Sunday. Let's shift more towards the present sense of things. Can you walk us through the mindset of preparing for and playing in the Western Conference Final for MLS Next Pro? It's going to be the Rapids 2 versus Minnesota United 2.
Yeah, I mean, obviously it's a big game, conference final. Trying to win and do something that Rapids 2 hasn't done before, which is make the whole final, the league final, I guess you could call it. But yeah, going into that game, I mean, our mindset is always, it doesn't matter who we're playing, we can beat anyone on the field. So we just need to make sure that we're playing to the best of our ability, and if we're doing that, then we take our chances against anybody. But I mean, I've played in one of the games against Minnesota this year, and it was a tough game. They had a lot of first team guys coming down and playing, but I still think it's a very beatable team. And with our tactics and, you know, with our tactics and messages from the coaches and things to focus on, I think we like our chances in that game.
Nice. One thing I did want to point out, you're very consistent, specifically in the playoffs. The last two matches you finished with 1 goal, 1 assist, 1 yellow card. Why not a red card? Are you just too deft at not getting too stuck in to get caught?
I mean, I would hopefully not get a red card, because I mean, I think a yellow is enough. And even last game, I didn't even get a yellow. I just got credited with a yellow for Charlie. He got off the hook. He got let off the hook.
Oh,
Oh, they gave that to you?
Yeah.
all right. Charlie owes you something for that one.
Yeah, he does. He needs to get me like a nice dinner or something for that.
Yeah, but more seriously, that 1 goal, that 1 assist, these are definitive game-changing contributions. You're coming into this stage at the end of the season and really asserting both your role on the field, but your value to a team. How has that felt for you?
I mean, it's definitely felt good, and I mean, credit to my teammates for putting me in those positions. Obviously, I can't go out there and score an assist by myself, so I think my teammates put a lot of trust.
You could try.
I could try.
You could try.
I don't know how well that would go, but anyways, but my teammates put a lot of trust in me going forward, and I think they trust my ability and they trust my instincts. So even if I, you know, miss a play or miss a pass or something, they're not too worried. They know I got the next one, and vice versa. If they make a mistake, I know they got the next one. So I think it's just that mutual understanding along the front line and that connectedness of all of us that's, you know, sort of helping me score these goals and create these chances for assists and whatnot.
Nice.
I guess maybe just a couple more. One of the ones from me is so Minnesota for R2 is kind of like the town was, where the team has struggled to beat the town. Do you think that victory over the town gives the team more confidence? I mean, I know you say you can beat anyone, but does that particular victory give the team more confidence, kind of getting over that hump, that you can get over this next hump as well?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, the town was, credit to them, a very good side, and it was a battle all game. So I think, you know, coming out of that one victorious just shows that we can hang with good teams and we can beat good teams. So, I mean, going into the game against Minnesota, we think it's going to be no different. We expect a battle. We expect a good side that we're playing, but I mean, ultimately, we think that we can come out victorious and advance.
If we can look ahead a bit, I'm fairly confident in Sunday. I'm going to knock on wood, not jinx anything, but you're going to face Philadelphia or New York Red Bulls. Either way, will you get a bit of that college homecoming crowd come out for an East Coast championship game?
I mean, maybe it kind of, I mean, a lot of my friends and coaches and whatnot at school are still in season. So they're coming to the end of their Ivy League season. So I'm not sure how many, but I do have friends and family in New York and Philadelphia that I've made in college. So
Oh man.
I would expect some of them to probably come out to the game wherever it be. And actually, if the game is in New York, Cornell has a game that Saturday night against Columbia in New York.
Oh
So
man, that's very cool.
depending on when the game is, there could be some overlap there.
All right, so it sounds like you want Red Bulls in the championship then?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know much about either of those teams, to be honest. I haven't watched a lot of it, but I mean, just from that standpoint, yeah.
Nice. Keith?
Last question.
Yeah.
All right, so last question. We don't mean to be a downer, but unfortunately, Chris Armas will not be the coach of the Rapids next season, as we've learned. You've had a couple days to digest that. What are some of your initial thoughts on getting a new coach already next season, and maybe something that you learned from Chris this season that'll be valuable for you moving forward?
Yeah, I mean, obviously I've only been here for a year, so wasn't here for the full tenure of Chris's career. But I mean, he was always to me a great guy, a great leader, a great example, a great coach, honestly, all of the above. So I'm nothing but grateful for his time here and for me to be able to have played under him. So, I mean, I wish him luck wherever he goes and whatever his journey takes him. So, but I mean, there also is a level of excitement and uncertainty of getting a new coach. Obviously, like I'm not saying I didn't want Chris Armas to be fired, but I mean, there's a sort of level of like going into the next season expectations and whatnot. So hopefully, getting a new coach and getting a new situation at the club, maybe that'll push us over the edge and hopefully we're competing for a championship next year.
I love that answer. I think, and just to reassure you, none of us will take that as you wanted Chris Armas out of the way. But I think it's always so interesting to think about all of the player perspectives, the staff perspectives, like everything that goes into any sort of leadership change in a club has kind of a ripple effect, a personality effect throughout all of its members. And I really appreciate the kind of the honesty and earnestness you approach that with. One in-house potential candidate that you've worked with, Eric Boucher. How would you describe his coach style?
I would say he's a very intense coach. He speaks his mind, he demands what he wants, and I think those are all good qualities in a coach. Like there's no trying to read between the lines with him. It's always you take it how you get it, and I think he sticks to his style and his style has been working for us. So I think that these are all positive things for him being considered in this role.
We've kind of talked about your educational acumen, your engineering background. That seems like someone who maybe one day could also formulate a game plan or a tactic. Any coaching horizons maybe once your career sunsets for Alex Harris?
I mean, maybe we'll see. I mean, right now I'm just focused on, all of my duties as a player and getting better and making my path in that way. So I guess we'll cross that bridge a little down the road. I mean, it was only 5 years ago where I was less than that actually, 3 or 4 years ago where I was just planning on going to college and being a normal student. So so life can change quick. So I don't really know what's down the road, but definitely a possibility. Yeah.
What are you dressing as tonight for Halloween?
I'm not even doing anything for Halloween. I'm not going to lie. So
All right.
if some people want to come by here and grab some candy, I'll have it ready. So that's,
All right,
that's what
just send the address in the chat. We'll come scoop up the candy. I'm gonna go see this awesome Edgar Allan Poe comedy downtown. So if you need recommendations, this fantastic local theater troupe.
All right.
I guess, Keith, any other questions outside of how many goals are you going to score on Sunday? You're going to keep it at 1 goal, 1 assist, 1 yellow card?
Hopefully more than that. I mean, I'd take 2 or 3 goals, 2 or 3 assists, and sure, a yellow card.
So, see, you've been around Bilo a lot, so all you need to do is now say, God willing, I'll score more goals.
Yeah.
But
Exactly.
no, it was great to talk to you, Alex. Good luck on Sunday. We'll be there cheering you on, and I'm like Matt. I think you're gonna get it.
Yeah, thank you guys for having me on. It was a pleasure.
Yeah, so I do want to take the time to shout out, I hope it's not inappropriate, your mom is like the nicest woman ever. She likes all of our posts and everything. It's so encouraging.
Sure. Shout out Mom for supporting everything.
Shout out, Mom. Yeah. Well, speak of playoffs locally, the only Colorado, well, actually, that's not true because the Switchbacks are going to be in playoffs. The only Commerce City-based Colorado team in the playoffs, Rapids 2, had a big game last weekend. Big game coming up this weekend. You want to take us through those?
They did. There's 2 teams that have been demons for R2 this season. It's been the Town and it's been Minnesota. Wish they have Minnesota coming up. But it was, considering the circumstances, a much tougher game than what they probably thought it would be had they known what happened. But we'll just go through it from the start. So Rapidos takes the lead in the 24th minute. Sam Bassett, who I've been impressed with his corners while he's taking them at R2, gets a beautiful, dangerous, whips it kind of low that Dada flips it on to Bilo, who taps it in for his striker's goal to take the lead. Important thing, 2 minutes later, Ricketts of the Town gets a yellow. We'll come back to that. You can probably guess what that means. But just 2 minutes after that yellow, the Town comes back and, well, technically they don't tie it, but it's a tie game. Kind of a weird play. It looks like a pretty simple ball that the back line and Big Mini Zach are going to handle fine. Chaos ensues. They put it towards Zach. Zach probably makes a save. I think Rinaldi kind of glitched in a moment or thought too quickly, tries to head it away, heads it directly into goal. So,
yeah,
own goal, tied 1-1. There are some chances from both teams, but not much else left in the half. Kind of slow start to the second half. However, in the 52nd minute, Ricketts gets the second yellow, which the referee was quick on that one. He saws the foul, pulls out quick. He's gone. They're down to 10 men. Then 8 minutes later, Wathuda pretty heads up on some pressing, gets the ball off of the Town, drives it in, cuts it back to Mr. Rocket right foot, Alex Harris, and they get the 2-0 lead, or 2-1 lead, which seems like it's going to be the game winner. The Town is down to 2 men, or 10 men, but no, they said, we don't care how many men we got, we're not letting you out of here easy, because they score in the 72nd minute. They kind of catch them out a little bit in transition. They equalize there. From there, Rapids 2 had most of the chances until the very near death. The Town gets a free kick, I think, in the 94th minute. Zach kind of spills it. The Town gets a great shot on it, but he makes the best save I've seen this season, probably. At least the most important save this season, because Matt and I were up there, and we're like, oh, that's a goal. This match is over. And somehow he makes a save, forces it into overtime.
That was wild. I think since they were a man down, all 21 people on that field, including Campagnola for a second, thought Donnerly won the game at the death.
I thought he did. I thought it was over.
Yeah, but the kick save of the season.
Yeah, but he's getting called up to these national youth camps for a reason, and he proves it right there. Um, in the first 15 of extra time, Stevie Flores puts someone on skates, gets right by him, jerk reaction, pulls him down in a box, gets the penalty, which as Pollard would say, Rosa does the Hoffa on his penalty run up, but does it a lot better, in my opinion, than Hoffa does it because he gets the 3-2 lead on that penalty take kind of a little bit early into extra time as well. Um, a few minutes later, Anthony Garcia probably puts the game away, has a chance to put the game away. Perfect shot. And it was good from about 50 yards out for an
Yeah.
NFL field goal, but he needed to get it under the bar, and he did not. But he redeemed himself because he gets the nail in the coffin in the 114th minute. Gets a breakaway, keeper comes out, tries to stop him, right around him, buries it in the net. The town did threaten a little bit between the third and fourth goal, but they weren't able to bury it. And once Anthony got that goal, that was it.
I mean, yeah, I think Anthony has been taking shooting drills with Cole Bassett too much because he skied that, like no doubt about it. But to seal the deal in the 114th, to like regain that confidence, because the way he just flicked and stepped around the goalie was it was mean, man.
And held off defenders as
unkind.
well.
Yeah, he's La Bestia is his nickname. I was stoked. I do think that Ricketts thing is so wild because I think the James Cameron almost got red carded twice for accumulation.
At one point, they had. Well, I guess it wasn't Charlie Harper. It was Alex Harris, which we'll find out when we from interviewing him. They had him on the yellow. They had Belo on the yellow. James Cameron was on the yellow. I think Cope had come in and was on the yellow. They had 5 or 6 players. Gallup was on the yellow. Vinny was. They had a lot of players on yellow. That ballsy move. Boucher left them in. I think he got lucky with James because he certainly tried to get that second yellow.
Yeah, would have been worth it. They were just trying to spot him a man, play it evenly. I'm just happy we're not going to be without one of these guys coming into the next game.
Yeah, but all credit to the town. They just refused to give up on that game. They probably slept well on the plane ride back to San Jose. Or no, they stayed in San Jose, so they probably slept well when they got home. Yeah. But I can't take anything away from them. They fought tooth and nail when they could have easily just folded.
If I'm the Rapids after that game with their season over, I'm immediately putting an offer in for Nick Fernandez. I thought he was amazing.
Man, electric. Absolutely electric.
He's lit up MLS Next Pro. I think he got 2 starts for San Jose this season as well. Yeah, I would bring him in ASAP.
Yeah. He showed me. I didn't know him that much before that match, but I definitely know him now.
Yeah, you hear us, Porig? Kevin, you're listening now. Bring in Nick the Truth Fernandez. He's our Ali Larraz replacement when Ali goes and soars in Europe. Should we move on to well actually I think before we move on to the game ahead, you brought up the point. I think it's really important to say that they really exercised the demon here by beating the town, which is gonna come into play really importantly as they go into the other bogey team they have in Minnesota United. What do you have on that one?
Yeah, it's not even just that they beat him, it's how they beat him. Because the last match between the two at Diggs was a 3-0 dropping. They probably could have scored another goal or two. So even though the town played really well, I think the Rapids were definitely the better team all night, and showed that they can play what was arguably or considered the better team in the town and exercise that demon when they have another demon coming up right behind that.
Yeah. So Sunday, 6:30 p.m. Western Conference Final, Dick's Sporting Goods Park. The team is going all out. They're going to have pyro. C-38 is going to be there. I don't know if I'm allowed to report this. I think there's going to be a staff tailgate. So if you want to see your Rapid staff maybe getting lit before the game that aren't working, of course, definitely look for them. But they're expecting. I mean, everyone around this team feels like this is a special iteration, and so I think pulling out the stops for what they think is going to be a team holding silverware at the end of the night. $5 to get in Sunday. Let's go.
Yeah, I mean, you can get your whole. Let's say you have a family of 4. You can get your family of 4 there for 2 cups of coffee that you probably get every day from Starbucks.
Yeah.
Like the tickets are not cheap. People have been clamoring for winning soccer at Dick's all season long, and it's been there the whole time. And there's no better reason to get off your ass and come than to a conference finals match, which they're probably going to win.
What's good? What I'm really excited with the time of year now, finally, we're not just going to cook in the sun on
Yeah.
that side of the field. So it should be a pretty nice weather and some actual good viewing lines.
Yeah, I never understood why they never switched that up. Like, well, even if it is the Apple TV cameras, we'll just move them to the other side.
Yeah.
So you get everyone out of the sun.
For those that haven't been, what we're talking about is when you're seeing day or afternoon games, particularly afternoon games for Rapids too, at Dick's Sporting Goods Park, they put all the fans on the east side seating because the Apple cameras are on the west concourse. And when that sun hits that 45-degree angle onto the east side, like you might as well just like bring your tanning lotion and one of those like aluminum foldy things because you're baking.
I felt bad for him because we're on the west side and press row box, which I never leave because I don't want to get in the sun out there.
Yeah.
But yeah, it'll be a night game. I think the weather is actually going to be nice for a night game. So no reason to not get out there and support the team.
Yeah, so I was talking to Cole and Sam's dad on the east side for the Vancouver game, and he looks like he's at the beach. He's in a t-shirt, shorts, sunglasses, and I'm in like black jeans. I think I still had like a flannel on. He's like, "How are you dressed like that?" And I was like, "'Cause it's literally 20 degrees colder on the other side of the field."
Yeah.
What do you got in this game? What are you looking at?
I'm gonna go the full fate roll. They've lost the first 2 matches to Minnesota United 2-1. So I think they're gonna win this match 2-1. That's how you ultimately get over your demon, is defeat them how they've been defeating you.
Nice. I do think, if I remember correctly, one point I want to make about that last matchup about Minnesota United 2 was at Dick's Sporting Goods Park. Bilo is the lone scorer in the 89th minute, but I think they had 3 really strong chances in those last 7 minutes to try and tie up that game. And I don't want to dig on the person I'm about to mention, but this was Kendall Stark's first ever start.
Yeah.
He's credited with an own goal, and even that Dorsey goal, I think he had a chance to save. I think if Zach Campagnola or Adam Beaudry are in goal, I do not think Minnesota scores that match. I think Rapids win that 1-0.
Is that the goal on a free kick to where like it bounces off the post and then bounces off his hand and then goes in the goal?
Yeah.
Is that the one I'm thinking? Yeah. And he went on a couple journeys.
Yeah,
that match
he went
away
to
from
the
goal.
Zach Steffen Let's Have an Adventure School of Goalkeeping.
Yeah, I think with Zach being there, that's a number one improvement. There's nothing against Kendall, but he just does not have the experience that Zach has. And then with how well Alex Harris has been playing, with I think Sam has actually done pretty well. Sam Bassett.
Yeah.
It's a much better opportunity, I think, for them in this match.
Yeah, they did not have Alex or Sam in that last match. I don't think James had come onto form as the winger that he is yet. And Camp wasn't in goal, which this is the part I always love to talk about with goalkeepers. If you've ever seen Zach Campagnola play a Rapids 2 game and didn't think you had, you have definitely heard him. He is the loudest person on the pitch at all times. He commands that defense so much that I think just that vocal presence, that engineering of the back line is a huge value added having him back in the sticks for this matchup.
It's very obvious that he is a member of the GKU.
Yeah.
If you close your eyes and just listen, you would not be able to distinguish between Big Zach, Nico, and Mini Zach. They all sound exactly like Chris Sharp.
Yeah, but
back there goal.
Credit to Kendall and Dash. Both of those guys do it too. I just don't think they have as much experience yet.
Yeah.
To be as detailed and thorough in that goalkeepers union commander role.
Yeah. He's definitely benefited from being, I think, at 80-90% of the first team trainings this season.
So I think when we're looking at this matchup, we need to be cognizant of Colorado kid Logan Dorsey. He's the one that scored that goal the last match. So he's going to be squarely on top, and he really does get up for these matches back in front of his home crowd. His whole family was out for that last match, and when he scored that goal in the 8th minute,
very obvious.
Cheers rang out.
Yeah.
The whole Logan Dorsey section. So I mean, his brother Griffin is out of the playoffs right now, so we might have Griffin in attendance. So if you're on Stan's watch, this is another thing about seeing these MLS Next Pro games. I feel like you see a lot of players courtside style, like in basketball. Like you'll see Darren Yappy, you'll see Cole, you'll probably see Griffin Dorsey on this one. It's always a fun experience. So look out for Logan Dorsey. We need to look out for Momo Camara. He's that midfield engine that has been really successful against us. And then I don't know what his status will be. I gather because Minnesota's in the playoffs that they won't have Romero back, but he was a problem. Nicholas Romero, he's really broken into the first team, but he played with the second team the last matchup because he was on a red card for the first team.
Is that that beast on the back line?
He was the dude that looked like a major league player playing little league baseball. Like
yeah.
So I think getting Alex Harris, having Zach Camp, having Sam Bassett, and them not having Nico Romero really sets us up well for this game, let alone it being at the Dick.
Yeah. I think the odds to get my Hunger Games on, the odds are definitely more in their favor this match than it was last match. And it will be even better if we can somehow top 1,000 people there.
Let's go full Hunger Games then. When they win, we all rush the field. You know, it's like the scene where they have to like get to the weapons. Like we all rush the field just to like get our arms around a player, get in that post-game celebration,
and you go for it.
Yeah. Does Argus have? Is it going to be the Argus Academy securing the team? I'm faster than all of them.
But really, if you're listening, go to the match. They deserve to have a big crowd for the Western Conference Finals.
The boys have earned it. They play really entertaining soccer. I think it's some of the best soccer viewing all season. Like the the average R2 match is up there with the League's Cup matches for my best vibes, most entertaining soccer that I watched in Commerce City this season.
And they've done it all season.
Your final score prediction, you said 2-1?
2-1.
Goal scorers?
And I'll say Bilo and Cameron.
Bilo and Cameron. I like those shouts. I think this one goes to the Mats. I'm gonna go 3-1, but Minnesota makes it nervy at the end. I think goal scorers are going to be Alex Harris, Bilo Giap, and I want to see a goal from Stevie Flores. I think he's shaken so many defenders on that box. I want to see him get one himself. I think Logan Dorsey does produce in Colorado and gets one back for that 3-1. And I think Rapids hold up trophy, hold
Yeah, I
up
think
silverware
he's
at the end.
my goal. Just because there's some players that just like playing certain teams, and
Yeah.
he loves playing Colorado.
Yeah. Well, any other notes? Else we'll end this and then see each other on Sunday.
No, I thought I was gonna get some trick or treaters while we were recording here, and not a single one.
I almost. Oh, now my video is paused again. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. I almost texted you to be like, let's put on masks really quick and then tell Alex that Kinsey was supposed to tell him to wear a mask and that he has to really quickly put something together or he can't be interviewed. I feel like it would have been a good sport and done something.
But I hope some kids come because I've already spent the week picking out the candy I like. Because I purposely got a bag that's mostly candy I don't like, so I could pick out the ones that I do like.
Yes.
So I'm gonna have all this candy if no one comes. Then I'm gonna have to figure out.
We kept putting out candy for Halloween and no kids because we've got like a courtyard, so no kids would come in and take it. So then it was just candy for us. But now we're just gonna be cheap and not put out candy and just buy it when it's 50% off tomorrow. And that way we still get candy for us.
I'm getting my candy corn pumpkins tomorrow.
Your candy corn pumpkins? The pumpkins?
Yeah.
Have you tried the caramel apple candy corn?
I do not know that.
Those are fire. I've only seen those at CVS, I think. Those are fire.
I am a candy corn connoisseur. To everyone that doesn't like candy corn, I'll put it simply: go fuck yourself.
I just tried their fall pack candy. First off, candy corn is legit. I'm also a big candy corn fan. I just tried a fall pack that had flavors like pumpkin spice. That tasted like a candle. Spiced cider. That one was really good. Caramel apple. I forget what the other ones. Any other Halloween candies you want to shout out before we go?
Always Skittles, always Reese's Cups,
Ooh.
and Lemon Heads. I have my 12-year-old condition at this point from 12 years of trick or treating that she sets the lemon heads aside for me. They're not hers; they're mine. She knows this now.
We'll talk lemon heads off the pot. I haven't had lemon heads in ages. Lemon heads are amazing. Also Reese's Cups, also Skittles. Halloween's my favorite part of year because it's when you can get crackle bars the most prevalently, and I love crackle bars. Chocolate and puffed rice. Let's go.
Yeah, you don't really. I don't think they sell them separately. I think that's only in Halloween bags.
Yeah, only in those mix packs. Dude, what I would do for just like a legit like Hershey's style crackle bar, like, man, boy can dream. All right, Keith, where can they find you?
Yeah, I am on the Sky, and on the hellscape that is still Twitter, because I don't call it X. At 5280 Keith. That's what I do most of my work. Try to cover mostly everything Colorado sports except the Rockies until the team is sold.
What if KSE buys the Rockies?
I'll take that over Manford. Like he's terrible. Get him out of there.
Yeah, I mean, it's just another real estate guy. It's like the Spider-Man meme. Our two owners pointing at each other.
Yeah, but at least KSE has brought a championship. Manford has done nothing.
That's fair. All right, well, you can find me at Matthew Wick on Burgundy Sky. You can also find me listening to Don Chicharron. Their song Especial is our intro-outro music. Go see them live here in Denver. We'll end it how we always end it, and then see you on Sunday. So up the Pids.
Or, as Mitch Carroll would say, up the kids.
Ooh, yes. Classic Mitch Carroll. Up the kid. We need like a sound bite to just like hit it on like the MA, like pew pew pew. Up the kids.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, guys.
Up the kids and up the kids.